Hello, I'm Major General Neelendra Kumar for the playlist In Similie for my channel Lex Consilium Foundation in conversation with Si Kyong. And my next question to him is that he is now the Si Kyong. He is the head of the state of this Tibetan government in exile. So, what do you know and what would you highlight as the present human rights situation in Tibet?
Oh, it's very grave. I would like to correct by saying that I'm not the head of the state. I'm the head of the government.
Head of the government.
So right now...
Please remember that he is not the head of the state, he is the head of the government in exile, but yes, the most important person after His Holiness. Yes.
So the situation inside Tibet continues to be very grave. I keep saying that we are dying a slow death. It's like Tibetans are being squeezed out of their breath by a huge anaconda, slowly, So in that sense, our culture, our language, our way of life, it's slowly being decimated, annihilated by the Chinese government. So at present, the policy of the President Xi Jinping is to create a community of Chinese nation where every ethnicity, where they're talking about 56 different ethnicities, become one under the melting pot of Han Chinese civilization. So it's very unfortunate that when the whole world is moving towards multiculturalism, China is the only country that's moving towards uniculturalism, where every emphasis is on Mandarin language at the expense of all other languages, including Tibetan, Uyghurs, Mongols, Manchus. So looking at that scenario, you're talking about there being no political freedom whatsoever. It's more like George Orwell's 1984 coming into reality, where the state surveils and control everything. The government use AI to control everything, including electronic identification, DNA sample collection, iris scanning of people. So all these mechanisms, in fact, China is the only country that spends more money on internal security than external security. So they have created a gridlock system where you are not able to do anything. If you do, because of the anti-espionage law, again, that we mentioned about state security law. So all these are adding up towards creating a community which is quite similar to what used to happen in East Germany by the SS, where everybody is spying on each other. If we were friends for a long time, maybe from university days, and we are meeting after a long period, I have to be very careful about what I tell you on my political thinking, so you have to be very careful about telling me about your
mutual suspicion.
Otherwise, I could report you to the authorities, and then I get paid for you go to jail. So that is the level of suspicion, and there is no trust, because on the larger global level, nobody trusts the Chinese government, and within Chinese government makes sure that nobody trusts each other. They always live in fear, and that their loyalty is only towards the Communist Party. So under those circumstances, where now they have started boarding schools for about 1 million Tibetan children, having kept them far away from their parents, from their culture, from their language. Vacations are also being shortened. Textbooks in Tibetans have been removed except for the language part. And then Tibetan classes now being reduced to just 4 classes or no classes at all. So this is aimed at directly removing the very foundation of our existence, the very root of our identity. Because not many Tibetan Indians also know that the connection between Tibetans and Indians, because we invented our script from the Brahmi and Gupta script. Because people often ask us, since now Tibet is being occupied by China, whether Tibetan language has something to do with Chinese. Not at all. Tibetan is one among the 15 oldest languages in this world. We have just come out with a dictionary of 223 volumes. No other languages have
223 volumes?
Volumes of Tibetan to Tibetan dictionary.
Okay.
So from that itself, you can understand how valuable the Tibetan language is. And we are very proud to say that we have we are a repository of one part of ancient Indian wisdom. We transliterated every available Sanskrit and Pali text from 8th to 13th century into Tibetan language from Buddhist scriptures. So today, Tibetan language is the only language that has all the teachings of the Buddha and the commentaries by the Indian Pandits, more than 200 volumes, and more than 100 volumes of Buddha's teachings in Tibetan language. And we are also in the process of translating it back into Sanskrit. So that language is being destroyed by the Chinese. And even Buddhism came from India, even though there were Chinese monks in Tibet in 8th century. Kamala Shila, the disciple of Shantarakshita, who was the first proponent of Buddhism in Tibet, along with Guru Padmasambhava, Kamala Shila had a debate with the Chinese Hoshangs, and the Tibetan Emperor Trisong Dezin at that time decided that we will follow Indian tradition. That is why His Holiness even now says that we follow the Nalanda tradition of Buddhism, which focus a lot on logic and reasoning. So we are proud to be an extension of an Indian thought and a repository of an ancient Indian wisdom. So in that sense, the relation between Tibet and India also needs to be understood. If we go back another 900 years to 2200, 2300 years ago, the first king of Tibet is also, in some stories, said to have come from India. So that is how deep our relationship with India. And we never had any serious war with India, because Tibetans practiced Buddhism and always regarded India with respect. We always called India the land of Aryavrat, the land of all learned people. So now, with Chinese government starting all these colonial style boarding schools, trying to change the mindset of all the young Tibetans into Chinese, that is going to change the equation of how young Tibetans look at India. It won't be the same as how elderly Tibetans look at India with respect. So those will also have its security implications for India in the long run.
Okay, thank you. This conversation with Si Kyong would continue. Please be with us.